Hey guys, got here. The first Ghoul nerfs are finally in. This was actually live on the PTB, but I held back on commenting on it because the developers specifically said that there were no Ghoul changes on the PTB, so I figured that was some placeholder stuff, or they weren't quite done with it yet, so I didn't want to say anything, but, you know, I guess, fuck me, it was done, and I could have commented on it earlier. They just somehow didn't realize they did that. Classic. Anyway, let's go over what the Ghoul changes actually are, because I did play with them on the PTB, and he felt completely fine. He still felt extremely strong. This is not a gutting. This is not a Skull Merchant thing. This is still an extremely strong killer, but I actually like a lot of the things that they did here. First up, reduce the technical range from 16 meters to 14 meters. That's not an incredible nerf. They also nerfed the add-on that increases the range by 2 meters, and they put it down to 1 meter. So we're looking at really effectively like 19 down to 16, sort of. So, I mean, it's, you know, it's a nerf. It's not really that much, and you're still going to be able to sling yourself across the map. Just for reference, like 2 meters, the difference is basically you running forward as killer for about half a second. So it's less than that even. So it's really not that much, but it's something. It's a start, and I think that's completely fine. Reduced enrage mode time from 45 to 40 seconds. Again, little minor nerf here too. You're still going to be enraged nearly the entire game, so that is still completely fine. Reduced enrage bonus when performing a perfectly timed grab from 15 to 10. Again, very minor effect here. There's even add-ons you can slap on if you don't want that to be the case, if you don't want it to be nerfed. So it's still, for how easy it is to hit grabs, very, very, very simple to keep yourself enraged. Reduced reticle stickiness time effect on targeted survivors from 0.3 to 0.18 seconds. So what this means is a little unclear. Whenever you have the fang symbol appear on a survivor that you're about to hit with your power, a little, like, you know, the symbol appears, and no matter where you move your mouse for that 0.3 second window, it will stay locked onto that survivor. So you can have the symbol appear, aim way up here, and you will still go to the survivor. So they've shortened that window a lot, which I think is a good thing, because it was annoying how sticky it was. This actually unintentionally buffs the killer on the higher end and makes it so the lower end can't get free hits as much, which is great. Additionally, the next line, reduce reticle aiming on survivor detection for grab by 94%. That is a massive, massive shrinking, and notice how I didn't say it's a massive nerf, because it's really not. In the hands of a good Ghoul, this is actually a buff, because now we won't accidentally grip onto people that we don't want to. Maybe they're injured and we don't want to use the actual grab deep wound attack. We just want to slide next to them. This will actually make the Ghoul even stronger in that scenario. At the same time, though, it'll make Ghouls that are not good unable to get free hits as much. So it fixes the whole free hit issue by people that are not great at the game, and it also improves the Ghoul for people that are good at the game. So you can look at that how you want there. As a Ghoul, I'm happy about this change. As a survivor, probably more of a mixed bag if you're happy about that one. After breaking a pallet, if the killer power is not a cooldown, power goes into forced cooldown equal to a single leap usage. This is a fantastic change. In fact, I think a lot of killers should have this. Like Blight, for example, should have sort of the same thing. Now, in practice, when I used this on the PTB and I actually saw this effect, it did almost nothing. It basically, I had to wait a second and a half before I could fling myself and chase after the person again. So there are a couple of rare scenarios where this difference will actually get a survivor to a safe spot now, but 9 times out of 10, this basically doesn't really do anything, and it's because it only removes 1 token. So if you're in the enraged mode and you have, you know, 3 tokens basically, it puts you down to 2, and then 2 seconds later you're back to 3 again. It's a bit more damning when you're not in enraged mode, because then you have to basically regenerate your entire power again, and that can feel not as good. But in that scenario, just grab the guy, just put yourself in enrage mode. Like, it's really not hard to avoid that. It does make the killer a bit less brainless, though, which is really good. And overall, I think this is a really, really good idea for those top tier killers with infinite mobility to put their power on cooldown for a very tiny amount of time. I could argue you could honestly go even more with this and put it on cooldown for even longer in comparison to some of like the weaker killers, but let's just leave it for now. Let's start small and then see how it feels. I think that's very reasonable and a very, very good idea. Probably my favorite change. I didn't even think about this. Like, that's just a really good idea. Fresh coffee is now very rare, so luckily I'll be fine because I stocked up on hundreds of them, but if you didn't, it's going to be a bit harder to find them. Fresh coffee is the one that increases the speed of your leap by 14%, which is just a very good standard add-on. So the fact that that's very rare now, a bit unfortunate for getting more of them, but not really that big of a deal. The umbrella, which used to reduce your cooldown time by 10%, in practice, it really did not do much. I tested with it at a bunch. The add-on was almost worthless. Like, everyone, like, said, oh, this is such a good add-on, but I know Ots did some testing on it, too. It really does almost nothing. So its previous effect being removed is not a big deal. I assure you, it was a very minor effect. Probably 1 in 10 times it would actually make the difference between not getting a hit and a hit. So, now what it does is performing a perfectly timed grab attack, awards an extra 10 seconds of enraged bonus time, and now it is uncommon. So, it'll basically make up the 10-second difference between these two numbers and keep you in enrage the exact same amount of time. But again, the issue is it's really not hard to maintain you being in enrage, so it remains to be seen whether or not it's actually going to be good. Bloodstained Handkerchief, which was my other favorite add-on, reduced the reach from 2 to 1 meters, so it's going to be a bit less beneficial in getting those extremely long range hits, which is completely reasonable. I'd argue you could even do more than that. The Taiyaki, it reduced the enrage move cooldown from 15 seconds to 5 seconds and changed rarity from uncommon to common. That's a more sizable nerf. I never actually used this add-on, though, so I can't really comment on it. But wait a minute. Yeah. Reduce the enrage mode countdown from 15 seconds to 5 seconds and change rarity from uncommon to common. Okay, so that is a nerf. I was trying to say, is that reducing the delay or the actual countdown itself? And I think that's actually a nerf, so... Yamori's Mask. This was the completely busted iridescent add-on that basically gave you Giga Barbecue and Chili every time you hooked somebody. Everyone just screamed, so you just knew where everybody was every time you hooked someone while enraged, which was basically the entire game. Now it only goes past 40 meters, so it's kind of like a different Barbecue and Chili. It's not really better or worse. It's better in the sense that it'll circumvent things like Shadow Step and Distortion, but also it doesn't give you the extended duration, which lets you know which direction people are running. So it's better and worse. It's basically just you get a Barbecue and Chili now, which I think is far more fair, especially for an iridescent add-on that it was super busted before. So overall, I think these are really, really good changes. They did not gut the killer. They didn't even touch his cooldown. They didn't touch his slide. They didn't really touch any of the thing that make him feel, very smooth to play. They just kind of adjusted a lot of the initial complaints that people had. Now, I will still say, I did read something. Oh, yeah. I was about to say, I did read this earlier. I'm sorry, I forgot this line. Reduce grab attacks damage minimum distance requirement to activate over obstacles by negative 30%. So basically what this means is, if you have like an object here and an object here, the survivor is here and the killer is here, you need to be, as killer, you need to be closer now for it to shoot over that object, basically. So you can't like just be on the other end of like 7 pallet loops, see someone, hit them with the grab, and then it just does the damaging hit anyway. You need to be actually closer now. Like, you can still shoot over a pallet and stuff like that, but if it's like a long or wide loop, you can't just get like a free hit over it now, which I think is completely fine. I really would have loved to see them reduce the range of the initial grab attack. I still think that's way too long. At least you kind of have to aim it now, which, like I said, let's be very conservative here. Let's try this for a week or two now and see how it is. I still would like to see the range of that grab not be 17,000 meters, was seemingly what it's like. Now, to be fair, it did get a little nerfed. So, like I said, let's just go from there. I think this is a great start. Maybe we don't need to do anything else. Maybe we need to do a little bit more. Maybe we need to do a little bit less. I don't know. Overall, I would say I feel pretty positively about the changes to the Ghoul so far. I will feel a bit less guilty for playing him now because I've been feeling like an asshole because everyone just fucking hates the Ghoul. But I love playing him, so yeah, it's a very unfortunate internal dilemma. But overall, I think these are really good initial changes. I'm very happy with this so far. Curious to hear what you guys think. Thanks for watching. See you next time.